school. Me and another girl was in the room. I can't remember her name. And we both lived on South Main Street. And we walked from school to Main Street. And then down Main Street. And you know the street you turn to come out here off of Main Street? That's Casual. And we stepped across the street and stepped upon the sidewalk, and when I did, there's mud, and I slid down, and this leg went that way, and this and back, and broke it right there in the main bone.
Hey.
And I could have got a lot of money out of it if I'd have known. The telephone people had put up a telephone pole, new one, and piled the dirt over on the sidewalk.
And left the hole.
Yeah. And then they scratched, shoveled the dirt back around the pole and left some of it on the sidewalk, didn't sweep it enough. And it was drizzling rain. And I got there just as it got wet. Me and that little girl, and I can't remember her name, but she lived somewhere in the neighborhood of where I did and went to the same school. And right there, I said, nobody was on Main Street, no cars, That was 1927, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody walking the streets, just as bare as it could be. And I lived about half a block on down, and no telephones, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I just sat there and cried. I couldn't get up, and every time that girl wanted to go somewhere and get me help, I wouldn't let her. I was scared, nervous. And I didn't know how to get to where Mama and Daddy was working for the power company, and there's down in Green River working that day, and I know he'd never know it. So I just laid there, and across the street, a lady come out of her house with two teenage boys, And I reckon she must have looked over there and seen me, and they crossed across the street and went around and on up the street. Both of them all three of them ever asked me what was wrong, could she help her, And I think, boy, I'll never get help. Yeah, she sure did. And I found out her name, and her husband worked in Belk's up on the town, or one of them stores, I don't know. We had a Belk's then. And I kept looking, and I thought, I was just praying for somebody to walk down the street, come walking. And I looked back and seen somebody way up in the main part, toward the main part of town, coming this way. And I think, so she don't, I didn't know whether it was a man or a woman, but it got close. If they don't go in one of those stores, and, So it kept coming, and the closer she got, it was a woman. They wore dresses to the ground, and black. And she kept coming on down toward me, and she knowed me, and I knowed her. She done work for us, and she worked for my grandmother, and her name was Lucindy. And of course, she seen me there on the right, where I was, and crying, "Laws of mercy, what are you doing down there? Are you hurt?" and all that, And she picked me up. She put one hand in under my leg, just like this. Mm-hmm. And I held around her, and she held around me like this, and carried me that block to the house. And Mama seen her coming, she knowed me and her. She run out and helped, and when they got me to the porch, they set me down and let my legs go down. They didn't know it was blue. And I passed out. And when I come to, I was sitting in the rocker on the front porch, And they had a straight chair stacked with pillars, and my legs laying over there. And Dad, he come. Well, there wasn't no doctors like they are now. They finally kept trying to get them. They got two. They both come at the same time. And they put me to sleep. They took me in the house and put me to sleep. And me and Marion, my sister, slept together. And they took that bed down and put it in the living room because there wasn't no heat, in the house, except the heater in the living room. And they put me in the bed and put a cast on my leg, set it, and tied a rope to the end of that cast and put it over the head of the bed with a bucket tied to it and it full of wick. That was to keep it from growing shorter, keeping it. And my head was at the foot of the bed, in the living room. They put me in the living room where I'd be warm, And I lay there 6 long weeks.
Good night.
Couldn't get up, wasn't supposed to move. What a time, what a time.
It's a long weeks.